I've got this leg here that I'm working on. I've stripped it down. It's a clawfoot leg. It's pretty nice. And this piece right here, this top section, sorry about the shaking, but this top section here, somebody had tried to repair it once before, and they used a very cheap, very cheap wood filler, and they put it in there to hold the cam. And this is the cam that was at one time set in here to hold this bolt. So the assembly was something like that, and this screwed into the cam, and it braced itself on the corner of the table. And when they tried to fill this in, they tried to do themselves a favor, and they drilled the hole out just a little bit bigger than it should be. This thing almost drops into the hole completely. So trying to work out a solution. I've tried 3 or 4 different things. Now my last attempt before I seek professional help is I'm going to take and put masking tape around this cam. I'm going to cover both ends of it, and I'm going to fill the hole with liquid nails, wood liquid nails. And I'm going to take the cam and press it into the hole so that it doesn't fill up with the masking tape on it. It doesn't fill up with the liquid nails, but it will set in place. And we'll see just how that goes. The cam here, this little barrel, and I've taped both ends of it so that no liquid nails or anything will get in there. And I'll be able to take and peel that off and screw the bolt into this once it is set into the wood. And now I'm about to fill this with the liquid nails, and hopefully it will in there with the liquid nails. It's setting now. I'm going to let it set for probably about 72 hours and make sure that it's nice and firm. Over the top here is a air bubble with that's the tape over the cam, and then I'm going to try to take the tape off and put this bolt into that hole once the liquid nail sets, and hopefully adheres to the wood and the cam. If it doesn't, I have a contingency plan. It probably won't work either, but we'll see how that goes. Things that have been bothering me about this for a little while is actually this piece right here that ties the leg to the framework of the table. I had done it to the face of this before, but what you see right up here, this white stuff, is a wood hardener, and this is probably my 8th coat of wood hardener on there, and luckily it's not really seeping in right now, which tells me that it has absorbed plenty, and this is just going to end up being a coating on there. But I felt I needed to add it again just to reinforce that. One thing that you may have seen in the other section of the video was this sitting on the table. This is a tap. One of the problems I ran into when I was putting the bolt into the piece here where the cam, if you remember back, the cam had been openings been covered with tape, and then it had been slid into the slot that goes into the table leg, and the liquid nails, where I had to peel the tape off and shove that cam into here so that it would hold. The leg is pretty solid right now, but some of the liquid nails had gotten past the tape into the threads of that cam, so I had to get a tap that was the same size as the bolt, the same threads and everything as the bolt, and go in there and basically re-thread or cut out the liquid nails that were obstructing the bolt from going completely in and being nice and flush right here. So that's what I did with that. And like I say, the next time you see this video, I will have the stain on the legs, on the table itself, all over, and hopefully it'll look really pretty nice. The other legs, not the one that I've been working on, they did a second leg with a very poor fix to it. The wood filler, I don't even know what you would say, balled up and in the back or the bottom of it, and didn't hold anything. So I'm going to repeat the process. I just finished taking the cam and with my pick tool there, I cleaned off all of the old wood putty that they had put in there. So I'm going to tape the ends of it again, and then I'm going to fill the hole with liquid nails, wood liquid nails, and I'm just going to let it set for about a week to cure so that it takes a good grip, and then I'm going to put it back into the corner assembly here. Luckily I don't have to worry about this piece quite as much as I did the other one. It's in fairly good shape. So once all of that is taken care of, once all of the liquid nails is put in here and that cures, I'll put the leg back on. One of the issues that I had tried to address with the legs, if you remember earlier, they were shaky. I was having a hard time getting them to sit stably in place, so I had taken in the corner section here that lug nut, or that lug, that cam, and put liquid nails into the leg, and then what I ended up doing was putting washers on this bolt here between the two so that it didn't pull out. And then just as an extra stabilizing measure, I put 2 deck screws into the top and the bottom there on either side. And I did this with 2 of the legs. The other 2 were in pretty good shape. So now the leg itself doesn't shake around at all. And that solved that problem. Hopefully it will last for a very long time, because there are grandchildren that are going to be playing on this and marking it up and other such things. So that was my solution, and it seems to have worked pretty well. Now take a look at the leg, or at the rest of the table. Well, I have reached the point where the table is together again and stained. There's some things I just couldn't quite figure out how they happened, like this vein right here. I tried everything in the world I could to get that to come out, but what I think had happened was when they stained the legs, they used a combination of like plastic coating and stain, varnish, and it soaked in or something, because it didn't matter how much I sanded to try to get that out. It was just there, and it just seemed to going deeper and deeper. So that's just there. I don't know. The rest of the table, they used such a thin layer of veneer that I accidentally sanded down into the press board underneath. So that was, I thought the veneer was much thicker than that, but that's a mistake that happened to it. And there were some gouges that just would not come out, and because the veneer is so thin, I didn't want to go any deeper and hit press board again. I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but I'm not very good with veneer, so I wasn't about to try to take it all off and come up with applying my own. Now, the owner didn't say that they wanted them two-toned. They just said they wanted the thing darker. So I applied a dark walnut to the table, and that's what it looks like. The legs themselves look just a little bit lighter than the rest of the table. And again, I think that's because the plastic in the varnish that they used soaked in deeper than the varnish did. But I got them as close as I could everywhere else. So I'm going to let this set for a few days and really dry. I just finished applying the stain to it. And so giving it a few days, and then well, probably in a week I'll come in and put a coat of polyurethane on top of it. So that's the table so far. So this is the table with 2 coats of varnish on the legs and about 3 coats on the part down here underneath the lip of the table, and then about 2 coats of hand brushed floor polyurethane, and then 2 cans of spray urethane to even out all of the brush strokes. And I think it turned out fairly well. So that's the table project right there.